So it's been a couple days since Hurricane Helene came through. Thankfully, where we are located, we only got the bands of the hurricane, which still affected our town in a decent way. My father-in-law's business got water in it again. A lot of people's homes who we know were flooded and took on water, especially closer to our water and our coast. I cannot imagine what everyone else is going through who were in the direct path, but this is kind of how our house looks after getting the wind and rain for about 48 hours. So this is entering our horse pasture. It is definitely a mess at the moment. I am flushing out all of this water. It's got debris in it. You can just see there's palm fronds and sticks and whatnot everywhere. I've already done one once over, and nothing is a hazard for the horses. They're not going to hurt themselves on anything. It's just lots of palm fronds and some tree branches that are down. Nothing too big, nothing too crazy. Thankfully, our water looks very yucky back here, but the horses do fairly well with storms. They kind of act like nothing happens. They just sit and eat the entire time, and right now they're grazing on the little grass that has grown because of our rain. So this was all full of water right after the rain, so this is now dry. It doesn't look like it, but it's just drying up, and then this is kind of our last section, and we are in hopefully our last portion of rainy season. So this is just a look at the pasture. No fence line was damaged, no panels were damaged. I mean, you can see our beautiful blue sky now. And we just have a little bit of cleanup to do, but thankfully fence looks well. This is kind of what happens after storms. Thankfully, we just have some debris in the pasture that needs to be cleaned up. It looks a little yucky for a while, but both boys are happy and healthy, no injuries, and they are doing just fine. So very grateful for that. Even though it doesn't look super pretty at the moment, once we're dry and cleaned up, we will be back to normal. We'll do a little close-up on both of the boys. So this is Tracker. He is just eating away. This is our big guy, and clearly you can see how unfazed he is by everything. This is kind of how they act during storms. So he is looking good, eating good, and is very unfazed and doesn't really even know that a storm has passed us. So happy that they have adapted so well to rainy season and hurricane season here. And then there's Captain, who absolutely knows that him drinking out of this nasty water grinds my gears, but is gonna do it anyways. It's just a film over the water of algae. Since it's been sitting in the heat for a couple of days, there is clear water under this, so I'm not necessarily worried about them drinking it, and they do have access to a full trough at all times. So he just seems to love standing in this yuckiness and really grinding mom's gears, but same thing, happy, healthy, totally unaffected by the storm, which we are thankful for. We have a little visitor in the horse pasture. She spends most of her days going through the dirt and the poop and keeping it as clean as possible. So she was also unaffected by the storm. We pretty much let her have free range the entire time, and she is a trooper. Donkey girls are good. I actually moved them back to their pasture for the storm just because they have more space, less trees that could possibly fall, and they do have a pretty large shelter in here. Bees are also in here, which as you can see, I just had to put a brick on the top of the boxes. During the storm, I had to go put the top back on because it flew off with the wind. But the bees really don't bother you, which nobody believes me, unless you bother them. So they don't bother the donkeys. They don't bother you if you're walking out there. So everyone was in harmony for the storm, and as soon as we get the pasture cleaned back up for the horses, the donkeys will go back over there. But for right now, they are just chilling in a separate pasture. So this is if you're standing in the horse pasture looking at the rest of the yard. The rest of the yard looks pretty good and fared pretty well, thankfully. I spent the last probably day or day and a half on debris duty, just picking up all of the limbs and palm fronds that fell during the storm. So thankfully, yard looks pretty good, just needs a good mow. We had one piece of bamboo that fell. That's really our only tree that has fallen down. This is the side of the new house. So this fell down, maybe 2 pieces of bamboo. We've really cut down everything else specifically for storm season. So that's why the yard looks like this right now, but really no major damage. So it's pretty crazy what bands can do. All that to say on this very quick update, it's amazing what just getting a little bit of a storm can do. We were on the very outskirts of Hurricane Helene's destruction. I cannot imagine what our town would have gone through if we were getting the brunt of it or close to the center of the storm. So we are very grateful that we only got the bands. There's a little bit of cleanup. All of the animals are safe and healthy. Our homes are safe and healthy. A couple people we know did not make out as well, but everyone is fine, and I am sending prayers to all of the people who were in the direct path, because I know what that destruction does. We got a major hurricane here about 2 years ago, this exact time 2 years ago. Our town was not ready for another one, but man, hurricanes and Mother Nature are no joke. When they're serious, they're serious. You should always take them seriously. We prepare the best we can. We're both native, my husband and I, so we kind of know what to expect, but when you're in the trenches, you're in the trenches. So sending good vibes to everyone who was affected by the storm, and that's just a little bit of my update.